Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or are watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions but not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called uncommon sense. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I also need to let you know that the subscriber mode is currently enabled. Now, what does that mean? That means if you are not a subscriber, if you wish to enter a comment, you will need to subscribe to the channel. First of all, I just want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel, whether it be from day one or just recently. I really appreciate all the love and support that you've given me. Also, want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or what have you. So I really appreciate that. Also, want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter in your devices. And I see here someone has already entered the chat. Okay. Good evening, Don Armando. I'm glad to see that you returned. I trust that you had a wonderful time in the DR, and I'll look forward to sharing whatever experiences that you had. So, what I'm going to do is the following. If you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification. So, therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. Okay. Now, before we get into the topic, of course, we all heard the big news regarding the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, being indicted on 34 charges of business fraud. Um, I will be talking more about that on tomorrow night's stream, where I'm going to be talking about open discussion. I'm also going to be talking about the purely thing situation. I'm just going to give you my point of view. I'm also going to give you my point of view regarding the whole situation. One thing we do have to bear in mind that however you might feel about Donald Trump, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So time will tell if he is found guilty and what would be the consequences. Just bear that in mind that just because you're indicted does not mean that you are guilty. And here we have Irby in the chat. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. But I think this is the first time. I'm fine, thank you, Irby. This is the first time that a former vice president was indicted on any type of crime. So that's not a good thing altogether. But like I said before, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So I will be discussing this further on tomorrow night's stream. Okay? So I do hope that you will stop by and also an open discussion. If there's anything on your mind that you want me to talk about, we will discuss it. Okay? So that being said, we're going to get into the main topic. As you can see by the thumbnail, the topic for tonight is vacation mistakes to avoid. Okay. Now, why am I discussing this topic? Well, it's April now, and soon before you know it, people are going to be traveling. traveling, be for business or pleasure or a combination of both, or it could be visiting family members or old friends and what have you. So people are going to be traveling. Now, before I continue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link. Should anyone wishes to join the panel, they may do so. Okay. So um, I gathered some common vacation mistakes that people make. Okay. Now, I'm sure there might be others that you may think people should avoid mistakes people should do when they travel. So, of course, you're more than free to share that in the chat. You're also free to join the panel and share your point of view. Okay. Now I'm going to start with the first mistake people make. Lack of research regarding the hotel that they stay with. They're going to stay. Now, depending on the hotel that you are going to stay with, there are many amenities that they may share. Many of them may be different. Of course, all of them have a room, all of them have beds, okay? However, there might be certain things that you may want, okay? You may want a microwave so you can heat up whatever food that you have, that you save. Or you might want to have a mini refrigerator, okay? Or it might be other amenities that you might be interested in, okay? As far as the gym, if the gym functional, or you may want to go to the swimming pool, whether it be an indoor swimming pool or an outdoor swimming pool. Now, sometimes these hotels are in the process of renovation. So when that happens, there's certain areas of the hotel that may not be available for the guests. So that's the reason why you do your research. You take a look as far as what amenities you're looking for, and then you take a look at the hotels you might consider staying. Okay, and you might ask yourself, well, do they have the amenities I want? Do they have free Wi-Fi? Do they have free breakfast? Do they have a gym where I can work out? Do they have dining facilities? Do they have places nearby where I can go visit or what have you? Or does they have excursions, one-day trips? These are the things that you need to think about when you're staying at a hotel, whether it be a hotel, a motel, or a B&B, and what have you. Okay, so that's something. And sometimes people just make a reservation, the first hotel they see, and then they go there, and then they're disappointed because the hotel does not have certain amenities that they're looking for, and all because they did not bother to do their due research and diligence. Okay, so that's the first mistake. The next mistake is waiting to the last minute to book a room, flight, or any mode of transportation. Okay. Now, depending where you go, and depending in what time of year that you plan to go away on your vacation or travel, maybe a busy time. Okay, there may be a convention. So now what happens is when you have an organization that has a convention, what they usually do is they usually reserve a huge block of room for many guests. So if you're thinking about booking a room, and if it just so happens there is an organization that has blocked, reserve a large number of rooms for its guests, you may not be able to get a room at the hotel in question. Okay. Another thing, as far as flights concerned. Okay. Now, sometimes, and I repeat, sometimes waiting at the last minute can put you in an advantage as far as getting a flight concerned, but that's not always the case. Okay. Now, I do recall years ago when I was traveling to Orlando for the week, and I was traveling in coach. So when I got to the airport for my flight back to New York, uh, apparently there was empty seats in first class. So I was given the opportunity to upgrade to first class for only $50. But this was back in 1995. This is 2023. So of course things change, and sometimes you can get a great deal. Other times you may not be able to find a flight that you're looking for, or the train, or if you're going there by train, sometimes the particular train that you wish to travel on may be fully booked. So that's the risk that you have when you wait until the last minute. Sometimes you can get a good deal. Sometimes you can miss out, um, as far as your mode of transportation. And it could be rough, particularly if you don't have too many planes, too many flights on a particular day that you need to travel, or too many trains that you need to travel on. So that's something. What now? When should you um, book your hotel, your plane ticket, your train ticket, your bus ticket, or whatever? Um, Personally, try to do it as early as possible. At least that way, first of all, you know that you're most likely you're going to be able to get a hotel. You're most likely going to be able to get a flight um, around your schedule, or train right around your schedule, or a bus ride around your schedule. Okay, so these are things to bear in mind. I generally believe in making my reservations ahead of time. Okay. Now, the next mistake that people don't do is they don't prepare a budget, and they just basically go go there not thinking about a budget. Now, why you need to think about a budget? Okay, you need okay. First of all, you have some key expenditures. Expenditure number one: the hotel, motel, or B&B, or house or apartment that you're gonna rent. Okay, you need it's gonna be a big expense. And if you're talking about several staying at a city for several days, whether it be for a week or so, depending where you're going to stay, that can cost you several $100. So that's a big expense. You need to budget your lodging. Also, you need to budget money as far as your mode of transportation, how to get there. Okay, even if you decide to rent a car to get leave from home to your city, you gotta be mindful. You gotta pay for the car rental if you rent a car. You also gotta pay for the gasoline. You might have to pay a little bit for the insurance. I don't know. I don't drive, but I do know that you definitely need to think about the car rental. You definitely need to think about the gas. Now, if you're going there by plane or by train, um, you need to factor in that you're talking about depending whether it be coach compared first class or whatever. It could be quite a couple $100. So you need to factor in as far as your mode of transportation. Another thing that you need to take into consideration is food. Okay, and, and of course you want to be able to to eat at a decent place, a decent restaurant, not fast food. So depending on um, how long you stay, you're gonna have to devote a considerable amount of money. Now, some hotels will provide free breakfast. Okay. Now, usually that consists of a continental breakfast consisting of bagels, pastries, muffins, coffee, and juice, and what have you. Okay. You might want something different. You might want maybe ham and eggs, steak, or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you eat. So you need to take into account that you're going to spend money on food. So the three biggest expense is your lodging, your transportation, and meals. And then maybe you might want to think about, okay, you might want to buy some souvenirs, or you might want to do some shopping, or you might go on an excursion here and there, depending where you're staying. Particularly if you're talking about going to travel internationally, and you want to take advantage of an excursion, you need to budget that. So you need to take that into consideration. Okay. And then there might be other things you might want to think about. Maybe get a facial or what have you. Um, so you need to factor that in. The main thing you're definitely going to need to factor in is lodging, transportation, and by the way, transportation, I don't mean just the airfare, the train fare, whatever. It also means the transportation to get from your home to the train station or the airport. And then when you arrive at the other city, um, you need to take into account money how to get there to your hotel or or from the airport or train station or what have you. So that's something that you have to take. You have to factor that in. Another mistake that people make is they don't follow the budget. In other words, they spend more money than what they think. Okay. Now, unfortunately, because I don't have that problem. Okay. What now? I know this is how I approach it. I know when I okay that if I'm traveling somewhere, let's say I'm traveling at one place for 3 nights. Okay, so I know I'm gonna need money for lodging for 3 nights. I'm gonna need meals for 3 days for 3 nights. I'm also gonna need money for transportation, not just to get from my home to the mode of transportation that I'm gonna use, and then when I arrive at the visiting city, the same thing. So people sometimes they overspend and they spend stuff that they don't really need. So that's what I mean. Another mistake people make is they overpack or underpack. Now let me just give you a perfect case in point. Um, I traveled with a colleague of mine for a 3-day seminar for people on my line of work. Now, this person has the habit. He brings like 2 or 3 spaces, then he brings liquor, then all sorts of other stuff. Like you would think that the person is moving to another country or another city and not spending 3 days. I try to to travel as light as possible. Okay, meaning I'm only going to take the clothing that I know I'm going to take with me, that I know I'm going to use. Okay, and then I only take whatever. I'll take my phones, my laptop, um, and I usually take one piece of luggage and a small carry-on, and that's it. Okay, and not even that for 3 days. Okay, now another mistake that people make, and this is a serious one, is not paying attention to your surroundings. Okay, now one thing we have to bear in mind, whether we travel domestically or internationally, we have to be mindful of our surroundings because we're not in our home today. And in fact, we need to be mindful of our surroundings. And what I mean by that, okay, if you take a look, if you see any suspicious activity, or you see any commotion, or you see any criminal activity, the last thing you need to do is just stand there and just be a spectator. Just try to avoid any anything that's out of the ordinary. Okay, and it's very important, especially when you're traveling outside your city. And I don't care what city, whether it be New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Antonio, whatever. You need to be mindful of your surroundings. Okay. Another mistake that people sometimes make, displaying cash. I mean, look, if you want to be a victim of a hold up being, having piggy pocket or rob you, a good way to do that is display cash. You should not display any cash. In fact, if anything, if you can, instead of using cash, try to use your debit card or your credit card. Okay, you have to use cash, but you only take out the cash that you need in order to purchase an item. Okay. For the most part, um, I prefer to use a debit card. Okay. And part of it has to do with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, when trying to reduce the contact from other people that I don't know about. Um, so that's the reason why I use a debit card or a credit card. Okay. But do not display your cash. That's a big, big no. Okay. Another common mistake people make is they lack of research regarding the area that you're visiting. One thing I noticed, and this is particularly true when it comes to international travel. Okay. People do not bother to do the research regarding how things are done in a different country. And even worse, assuming that what's acceptable and what is okay over here will be acceptable and okay in the country that you're visiting. Okay. Also, looking down on certain customs and beliefs that are considered normal in the country that you're visiting. I'm going to give you a good case in point. Years ago, when I visited, it was either Colombia or Panama. And also, we have the Blasian King. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for stopping by. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I want to let everybody know that both Don Armando and the Blazing King, they both have their own channels. So I'm going to ask that if you have not done so, please check out their content and consider subscribing to those channels. I think you're going to find that they have very interesting content. Okay, so as I was saying before, so I of course had to use the restroom facilities, and one thing I noticed that they did not allow you to flush the toilet paper down the toilet, and instead they want you to put the dirty toilet paper in in a in a little trash receptacle next to the toilet. Now, before people start saying that's disgusting, um, bear in mind, over there, that's considered normal. Not every country in the world has great plumbing like we do in the United States. While some people can consider that disgusting, that's considered normal over there. Okay. Also, another thing that the pace of life is different in some countries. Here in the United States, particularly if you're living in the big cities, everything is rush, 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 and everything is instant. And in some countries, that is not the case. The pace of life is different. Uh, Blasian, I think you're from Jamaica, and I think, unless I'm mistaken, the pace of life over there in Jamaica is different compared to the United States. I could be wrong. If you can enter a comment in the chat, I really would appreciate it. Also, another thing to bear in mind when it comes to the um, the pace of life is different over there. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's different. So when you are visiting a different country, you have to be mindful of the environment, which is why you need to do your research before you go to country visit. Now, I have been fortunate that I have visited 6 countries in my lifetime, 5 of them in Latin America. And the 5 countries in Latin America I have visited were the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Colombia, and Panama. Okay. And one thing I try to do as much research regarding each country that I'm visiting. So at least when I go there, I have a little bit of of an understanding as far as how they do things in these countries. Okay. Okay, I thought you was a native born of Jamaica. I apologize, but I'm sure um, in Jamaica they have their own pace. Okay, and they have their own ways of doing things. I've never been to Jamaica. I would like to go there one day. Okay, but you know what, Irby, considered traveling outside the United States. But if you do decide to travel, I would strongly recommend that you try to do some research regarding how things done. If you decide to go to a country where the language is not English, try to pick up the native tongue. The native inhabitants will appreciate the fact that you took the time and the energy to learn their language. even if you mispronounce things, the fact that you're making an effort to speak and communicate in their language will go a long way with the native people. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. Now, another mistake people make is arriving at the airport or train station or bus station late. That's a big problem. Okay, why? First of all, you're not the only one that's traveling on that mode of transportation. You have other people that are traveling, and bear in mind that not everyone is traveling for leisure. You have people who are attending business meetings, and unfortunately, have people who are on the way to attend funerals because they have had a death in the family. So, what happens is when you arrive late, you risk the chance of missing your flight, your train, or your bus. Now, when it comes to like traveling in a plane, as a general rule, if you're flying domestically, try to get to the airport 2 hours before your flight. If you're traveling internationally, get to the airport at least 3 hours before your flight. Why? Because you don't know how long it's going to take you to go through checking. Particularly if you have luggage that you have to check. Okay, if you're just carrying like a carry-on luggage that can fit overboard in the plane, that's not just a big deal. But if you're carrying luggage, you need to give yourself the time to go through security. Okay. And when it comes to the good people of the ETA, follow their instructions, please. Okay, because let me tell you something. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Um, the last thing you need is to get into an argument with these people because they can stop you from boarding that flight. So just bear that in mind. Also, another thing, if you are the type of person that you have limited mobility, whether it be because you're walking with a cane, whether it be that you use it or that you need a wheelchair, I would strongly recommend that if you go to fly, that you let your airline know ahead of time that you're going to need a wheelchair to get you from check-in to your gate. Okay, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Okay, 4 years ago, when I went to Mexico, okay, I decided to request a wheelchair because of my limited mobility. And one thing I found out that you spend less time in check-in if you had a wheelchair. Okay, so you don't have to wait. The line is not as long. Now, it doesn't mean that you're a healthy person. You're going to ask for a wheelchair. No, that's basically abusing the privilege. But if you're traveling and you have mobility issues, whether it be you have a cane or whether it be that you use a wheelchair, do yourself a favor, ask for a wheelchair ahead of time. That way, when you get to the airport and when you check in, um, you'll have a wheelchair, and you will spend less time waiting. And a lot of the times, the people that have wheelchairs are usually among the first ones that board the plane. Okay, so that's something to consider. And I see that there's 6 people watching the stream. I just want to say thank you very much. So, like I said before, do yourself a favor. Do not get to the airport late. Do not get to the train station late. Do not get to the bus station late. Give yourself plenty of time so that way you can calmly get to the gate that you need to go to, whether it be on your train, plane, or bus. Okay. Another mistake that people make, and it's not tipping the hotel staff. Now, let me make this perfectly clear. I have never worked in a hotel, but when you think about it, you're talking about a hotel that have hundreds of rooms. Okay, so you're talking about people that gotta go to each room. They gotta bring fresh towels. They gotta bring soap. They gotta bring make sure that the sheets are clean and what have you. So show your appreciation to these people and leave them a tip. Okay, you don't have to give them a whole bunch of money, but I mean, say $5 a day or $10 a day. It's not something. And in fact, what I usually do is when I go stay at a hotel, one of the things I'll ask for is for envelopes so I can for the housekeeping staff. Okay. Not only that, when you go to a restaurant, particularly a restaurant, and they serve you good food and provide good service, show your appreciation and tip appropriately. Okay. I mean, the least you can tip is 15%. Usually, I tend to tip 18%. If the service was really excellent, I might go as 25%, because you know why? Because I value good service. Okay. The next thing to avoid: leaving a messy hotel room. This is for the same reason. When you enter your hotel room, the room was neat. It was clean. Uh, Everything was in its place. You leave your hotel room for the morning, the day, the evening, whatever. Be considerate to your hotel staff and make sure that it stays the same condition that you saw it when you arrived. I mean, it's a real pain in the butt when you have to clean up because you have a messy guest. Okay, and I'm not exactly the most neat person in the world, but I always try to make sure that the room is very neat and clean and what have you. Okay. Another mistake people make: traveling in dark areas. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. Okay. In other words, those side streets where there's little or no lighting. Okay, that's not a good thing. In fact, what you're doing is you're asking for trouble when you do that. Okay, you are asking for trouble when you do travel on dark streets. Okay, please. And I beg you, if you're going to travel, make sure that the streets are well lit. Okay. And in fact, if anything, if you go, I would suggest um, get an Uber or a taxi. Um, if you're going to take public transportation, transportation, whether it be buses or train, try to get into a car where there's people in it. Okay. If nothing else, it'll be a little safer. Now, not many people do this, but some people do this. Opening the door to unknown people. Now, you wouldn't do that in your own apartment building. Why do it when you're in a hotel? Okay. First of all, if anybody knocks, you should not, unless you are expecting something, don't open the door, and at the very least ask who it is. Okay. Because you never know who could be on the other side of the door. Because remember, you're visiting a city and you cannot assume that everything is copacetic, and you do have to be vigilant. Okay. Another mistake is not tending to your items. When you go to a restaurant or when you go to the lobby, do not leave your personal items unattended. Because basically what you're asking people to do is to take them, and then you'll never see your items again. Okay. Be mindful of where you are and make sure that you do not leave your personal items behind. Be vigilant. In other words, be vigilant. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm so simply trying to help you to remain vigilant as far as your surroundings is concerned. That is all I'm asking you to do. Be vigilant. Okay. Now I'm just going to put in the link again in case anyone wants to join the panel. Another mistake people make is leaving your wallet behind. What I mean by that, sometimes in our rush to go out, we leave our wallet behind. Well, how are you going to pay? How are you going to pay for a meal without your wallet? How are you going to pay for your transportation without? So keep your wallet behind, and whatever you do, please, and I mean please, do not put your wallet in your back pocket. Put it in your front pocket, or if you have like a coat or a jacket, inside the inner pocket of your jacket. And be mindful, okay? Which reminds me something I didn't list, but whatever. If you're going to go outside and you're going to have some alcoholic refreshments, be mindful that you don't drink yourself to the point that you're not aware, okay? Because when you are inebriated, your judgment goes out the window, and then you do things that are silly or foolish or what have you, which you may regret. I, as a general rule, I do not consume alcohol on an empty stomach. I'll eat and I'll have like maybe a little bit of wine, maybe that's about it. Now the next two things, it's basically both the same thing, which is not complaining about poor service and not speaking up when needed. Now, some people, and I will never understand why, when they're given with poor service, they suffer in silence. Now, people tend to think of me as a cat because I will make my concerns known when I'm not receiving professional service, whether it be from the hotel staff, whether it be from the restaurant, or if I'm visiting an establishment. You need to be vocal, but you need to be polite when you complain, when you're voicing your concern. So simply saying, I like this person, because I was not happy with the level of service that I have received. Okay. And then you start state the reason why. Okay. You don't need to be disrespectful. You don't need to berate anyone, but simply um, in a calm manner explain rationally why you was not happy with the level of service that you received. And most people, if you explain yourself calmly and rationally, they'll listen to you. There might be certain things they may be able to do or not able to do, but you yelling, screaming, and what have you, you're not going to help your situation in any way, shape, or form. And another thing, and it's basically similar to what I was talking about, not being polite to the staff. Okay, whether it be the hotel staff, whether it be the restaurant staff, whether it be if you're going to get a manicure, what have you. Okay, they're a job, and they're there to service you. Okay, if you're not happy with the service that you get, that you receive, explain your displeasure calmly. Now, one thing that does kind of irks me a little bit is when I say my name and I'll say, Mr. My name is Mr. Jose Negron, and they'll address me as Miss. And I'll have to say, excuse me, you address me, I would appreciate it if you address me in the proper gender. I am a male, not a female. I'm sorry, I am not going to show you my genitalia to verify my sex, my sex, my sexual identity. And at times I can get a little bit testy when people keep referring to me to the wrong gender, and that's something I'm trying to learn um, not to do. So when people continue to address me in the improper gender, I will say, "Excuse me, I said I am a Mister. Uh, you you did not address me in the proper gender, please. Please address me in the proper gender." Okay. And the last thing, the last mistake people make, and to be perfectly honest, I just decided to throw that in, is not saying to uncommon sense with Jose Negro. Okay. Now, in truth, that had nothing to do um, with the topic. It's just a shameless plug for the channel. So, and I'm sure there are other mistakes people have made. There are others. So, to the people that's in the audience, do you know any other mistakes people make when they travel? If you do, you're more than welcome to enter them in the chat. Just want to remind people that if you're not a subscriber, if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. Okay, it's no, it's not like I'm asking for a donation in the cash app. Okay, but and of course hit the like button as you enter. So I've been talking for 50 minutes. So, if anyone wishes to join the panel, by all means, they can do so. Anyone wishes to enter a comment, they may do so as well. If no one wishes to join the panel, or no one wishes to enter another comment, I will start to wrap it up. Okay. Because I don't believe in rambling on nonstop for 4, 5, 6 hours. Okay. And I suspect that more people will watch this stream on the playback. Uh, the reason why I chose this topic, because the fact of the matter is, people are going to travel. People are going to fly. They're going to go on business trips. They're going to go on family trips. And sometimes people make mistakes when it comes to traveling. So hopefully, by me sharing this information about common mistakes that people make, hopefully um, you won't make those same mistakes. And believe me, I made a couple of mistakes along the way, so I don't claim to be perfect. I'm just trying to share with all of you um, what knowledge I have gained in my 60 years of life and my multiple years of traveling. Okay. So, that being said, I'm just going to talk a little bit um, regarding tomorrow's topic, okay, which will be open discussion. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar, what the detailed open discussion? I will discuss multiple topics. Okay, I will share my point of view regarding those topics. I apologize. Something happened with the Wi-Fi. I will definitely be sharing my point of view in regard the indictment of Donald Trump. I'm also going to be sharing some other points of view. Of course, the audience is more than free to share their point of view on any topic. Maybe you might disagree with what I'm saying. That's perfectly fine. Okay. All I ask is that we be agreeable when we disagree. Okay. We unfortunately, with some people, that's that seem to be a lost art. Okay. Some people. Hello. Okay. Not everyone is able uh, to be agreeable when they disagree. one thing, and I think anyone who has been following me for almost 2 years know that I try to keep it a safe space for everyone to share their point of view. Do I always agree? No. Do we have different viewpoints? Yes. Nevertheless, one thing that I'm happy to say is the fact that we have been able to be agreeable when we disagree, and that's something that it's a good thing. And I truly believe that that we can learn even in disagreements, which is something that we all need to bear that in mind. So I'm just going to keep the link there for maybe 5 more minutes, maybe less. If no one else wishes to join the stream, I will wrap it up. Um, and I suspect that more people will watch this stream on the playback. Okay. Which is why when I do prepare these streams, um, I try to have enough material that I can talk for a length of time. Um, excuse me. Until some. Unfortunately, when you talk a lot, it gets thirsty. So, but one thing I do appreciate. I do appreciate all the love and support that all of you have given me. Okay, when I started my journey almost 2 years ago, I didn't think I would have 223 subscribers. I do. And considering that this is not exactly very high tech, um, it speaks well that people support this channel. So, what I'm going to do is, since no one else is going to come up, I'm going to wrap it up. I just hope that people are watching the clouds. Hit the like, please. It doesn't hurt you, and it does help the algorithm. So, of course, Tuesday I will have my discussion regarding the victimization Olympics. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about certain group of people who feel that that they are a victim no matter what. And what happens is when you play the victim very often, um, you don't have to deal with individual responsibility. And that's something that we will be discussing on next week's stream. I want to let everybody know that I will not be doing a live stream on Thursday night and Friday night. Thursday night because I will be attending church because it's Holy Thursday services. Good Friday because I prefer to spend the day um, in meditation, thinking about what Jesus went through on the cross for me and for everybody else. So I will be doing a stream Saturday. I'll probably going to do a short stream on Latina diaspora. I might send a link to a couple of people. We'll just have to wait and see. But I do appreciate all those who stop by, Armando, Irving, and Malaysian King. So, that being said, okay, so thank you very much, Irby, for stopping by, and hope to see you tomorrow night or whenever you are available. Oops. So, that being said, let's be good, particularly in all the stuff that we've been through with this COVID-19 health crisis and whatnot. So that being said, okay, well, Blaze and King, thank you very much for stopping by. Hopefully one day you would stop by and join the panel. But, in any case, appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much. So, yes, thank you very much. And actually, yes, people, please share the stream, okay? Now, usually I don't encourage this, but in this case, I will, because the fact of the matter is it does provide some useful information for people who will travel, okay? So I really would appreciate it very much, okay? Oops. My computer is acting up. Okay. Okay. So that being said, I thank you very much for your time and your attention. And this has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Hossein Negron. Take care and peace. Strong.